What is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to another video. Today we have an awesome tutorial. I'm going to be teaching you an original effect of mine called Hurri-kings. It is an awesome effect, something super practical, and as I'm sure you could guess, it is done completely impromptu with a regular deck of cards. Now this is an anytime, anywhere effect. Great for street magic, great for close-up, and I absolutely love it. I'm just sitting down now to film a bunch of new videos, some brand new tutorials, some new performance breakdowns, some great informative theoretical content. It's been a while since I've filmed new videos. I've had a bunch of backlog stuff that I've been pumping out over the last little bit. If you've noticed, the posting schedule has been a little bit different on the channel. We're aiming more for one a week video, aiming around Sundays. I'm not going to say it's always Sunday, but I'm aiming for videos every Sunday right now at 11 a.m. But otherwise, the weather's getting nice here in Canada. I don't know if you can see too well, but it's great here in the city of Toronto. Everything is nice, warm, and I am happy and ready to bring you guys some brand new content, and there'll be some new content out there very soon. And as always, if you guys want to help support me, just make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you'd like to check out the merch, this is the Show Me a Trick tee available on my website. You can check out in the link below. There's a full 3-phase effect built into this t-shirt. All you need to do is wear the shirt, and there's a full 3-phase routine built into this that is a whole lot of fun. So if you want to check that out, you can. Also the RF sleights, hats, you know, all that good stuff. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the video and learn Hurri-kings. Alright guys, let me show you a quick performance of Hurri-kings. So the spectator can freely choose truly any card that they'd like. Let's say they choose this one right here, and you actually never see what that card is, alright? Now they take that card and they return it face down in a face-up deck, and the reason for this is to mark sort of what that card is so we can come back to it later. But for now, we just need the kings, so let's go through and grab those kings. So we have the king of diamonds, king of clubs, king of spades. Just to reiterate, we have their card, the only face-down card in the deck, and then the king of hearts. Now, at this point, they can, I'll hand these out to them. They can inspect and make sure that these kings are normal, and more importantly, that there's only the 4 kings here, because that's actually very important for this trick. Now, this trick actually only uses the 4 kings, so actually we don't even need the rest of the deck. We're just going to use the king of clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. Now what I'm going to attempt to do is get these kings to flip over face down one at a time. So watch, all it takes is a move like this and we get the first king to go face down. Now some people think I try to distract them. They think I'll come and like flick a card like that and that's what gets it to flip, but no, all it takes is just that move and we get the next king to go. Again, they think it's the twirls and the spins that's making it happen, making the flipping happen, but no, little move like that and you get the third king to go. Now I want to go back to the moment where all the kings were facing face down. All the kings were facing the exact same direction. I'm going to take this up a notch. Instead of just getting any king to flip face down, I'm going to get whatever king you name to flip face down. So, hey Siri, name a playing card.
Let me shuffle first. It's the 2 of hearts this time.
2 of hearts, so we'll take that as the king of hearts. So watch, just like that, no funny moves, we get 1 king to turn face down, and it is of course the king of hearts. So now left in our hand we have the king of spades, the king of clubs, and the king of diamonds. Alright, so we'll take those kings, we don't need those anymore, so we'll leave those in the deck. But right here we have the king of hearts. Now I'll invite you to place your hand on top of that king of hearts and keep it safe, really keep it safe for me, all right? Now, to finish this trick, I want to show you something truly impressive. Now, we have that king of hearts under your hand, and it would be insanely impressive if I could make that king disappear. So watch, I'll use my hand to simulate. If I can make this king disappear, that would be absolutely incredible, right? You feel it, don't you? Yeah. All right, watch. 3, 2, 1. And it's gone. Take a look. You see, I didn't say the whole card would disappear. I just said the king would be gone. Now, do you remember at the beginning of this, we left your card as the only card that was face up in this deck. Now, if I spread, watch what's happened. If I spread now, if you look over here, the only face down card in the deck, oops, is actually the King of Hearts. Now, if this is the King of Hearts, is truly the only face down card in the deck, then that must mean your original card has now appeared underneath your hand and the king has vanished. Alright guys, so I hope you liked that performance of Hurri-kings. It's one of those effects that, you know, obviously like most is much better with a spectator, but it is a very powerful, very fun, and fairly easy effect to perform. That final phase I think is super powerful, especially considering you can have someone hold on to that deck of cards and you can have someone place their hand on top of that final king and the transposition happens. I kind of play it as sort of the king disappearing, and they think, you know, in their mind that the king's going to be vanished, but it actually has just changed. Now the reason for the name Hurri-kings is because this is sort of a twisting the aces routine at its core. And twisting the aces kind of reminds me of a twister, like a tornado, and I thought this kind of takes it up a notch, like a hurricane, you know, bigger than a tornado, so I thought hurricane, and then ultimately Hurri-kings, because it uses the kings. So let's get into the breakdown of this effect. Now the setup is absolutely nothing. This is completely impromptu from a shuffled deck of cards. So you get your deck back from a spectator having just shuffled it, and what you're going to do is invite them to select a card. Now I really like doing this from a spread, ideally on a table, because it feels very open and very fair, and that's very important. You want this to feel very open because you can, right? There's no force going on here. So let's say they choose the ace of spades. Perfect, easy to remember. And again, you don't have to peek this, nothing. It's as fair as can be. Then you're gonna flip the spread face up, and the other reason I like using the table is because you can do the nice ribbon spread, show off a little bit. Then you're gonna invite them to return this card face down in the middle of the deck. Now, you explain that you're having them do this so that we can get back to it later. You can say it's sort of an insurance policy to make sure they don't change their mind, but ultimately I just say, you know, we're gonna get back to that card later, so we wanna know where it is, and we're leaving it, as you can see, as the only face down card in the deck, and I like to emphasize that because it's gonna be important later on. So now you square up the deck and you're gonna go through and take out the kings, and you just say, you know, we need the kings for this trick, so let's go ahead and take those out. So now you're going through and you're just up jogging the kings, right? You're going through, and when you arrive at their card, you're just gonna reiterate to them, hey, you know, your card, as you can see, it's the only face down card in the deck, and just so you remember, we're just gonna leave it, you know, face down, and we'll leave it right there. Are you gonna actually leave it right there? No, you're gonna cull it. Okay, you're going to cull it to the top of the deck. Now, this is very easy. Because you're stopping at their card, you have perfect opportunity to set up for the cull. So your fingers underneath are going to be gripping just like so, and your thumb is going to have pushed this card over, so it's the only card that's hanging. Now what's happening is as you come to close, their card is going right underneath these fingers, while this thumb is going to contact the next card, which in this case is the 9 of hearts. Goes like this. And then I'm just going to pull it into a cull as I continue spreading, looking for the next king. So again, that happens very easily because you don't have to do it, you know, really quickly while you're spreading. You go through, you stop on their card, push it over, right? So it's hanging off. Get your fingers ready to receive, and then as you close, it just goes right into those fingers. You pull it, and you continue spreading. So from the bottom, you're like this, and you're just like this, pull and continue spreading. Okay, and this is hidden. You have the up-jogged kings to hide any flashing at the front. Just tilt your hands down a little bit and you'll be totally covered. And again, no one's looking for that. Now you're going to up-jog the next king and the next king, and while you have a card in cull, I'll show you it's very easy to up-jog a card. Nothing really changes. You just pinch the card once you get to it. So I'm at the king, I have it pinched. I use this thumb to move it forward, and I just keep feeding the rest of the cards of the spread underneath the culled card, right? So it really doesn't change anything for the up jog. So now their card will be placed on the bottom of the deck, face down, and you're going to strip out those kings and hand them to the spectator to take a look at. And you tell them that you want them to make sure that there are only 4 kings there. Now while they do this, you'll be in this position. You'll have the whole deck face up with their card face down on the bottom. In the action of turning over the deck and shuffling, you're going to reverse their card to the bottom of the deck, and now it's going to be the same way as the rest of the cards. So what you're doing, and I like to add a little bit of turning of my body to help hide this, but I'm basically pushing their card over underneath my hand as I pivot the cards 180 degrees and begin to shuffle on top of the card, thus flipping it to the bottom of the deck. So if you watch, I push and rotate and continue shuffling. Now the angle for that, if you're over this way, it's pretty much invisible. If you're over this way, it's pretty much invisible. And if you're straight on, it's pretty much invisible. So it's absolutely completely hidden, and you just do it in the action of turning and shuffling. And I just add the little turn just to hide any little movement. But again, slight push, rotate of the deck, right? I'm just pivoting it, pulling it with the index finger and turning my wrist to get the deck that way as I kind of leave this card behind in my hand, right? That will get their card on the bottom of the deck in the correct orientation. And then again, while they are inspecting this, you quickly overhand shuffle it to the top of the deck, okay? So at full speed, you just say, here, take a look at those cards. I want you to just make sure, you know, there's only the 4 kings there. It's very important. So I've already done this. I take a little pause usually at this point from shuffling, and then I just let them inspect and I say, okay, perfect. And I have their card on top. So for that, I'm just throwing off until I get to their card. And once I have one left, I throw it on top, and that is going to be theirs. Now, as you're collecting the kings, there's one thing that's very important. You want to make sure these kings are in chased order. So, how do you do it? You just put them in chased order. And while you're doing that, do a little push off and get a break under their card. So there's a couple things happening here, but you're taking the kings back and you're pushing off and getting a break. Now when you have that break, you're just gonna glance down at the kings and put them in chased order, which is clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. C-H-S-D, which kind of spells chased without the vowels. If I get the cards back in this orientation, I'll literally just grab the club and put it on top. Whatever sort of mix and match you have these cards in, you're just gonna organize them into the clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, just really quickly as you get them back. So it would kind of be something like this. So you say, okay, so you're happy with that, satisfied? And they'll say yes, and you say, okay, perfect. So now we have these kings, and you just do it, you know, casually, no pressure, you just organize them. And this is gonna help you later with one of the phases. Now you take those kings and you say, okay, for this we only need the 4 kings, so let's actually get rid of the deck. So in the action of squaring up, you're actually stealing away their card with the rest of the kings. The justification is squaring up the cards, and then you immediately remove the deck, but you've stolen the card away. So how you do that, obviously it's facilitated with the pinky break. You're going to put those kings, and you want to do this very quick, right? So what you do is you square, and then your thumb slides right to that corner, so you have a lot of room. If you try to grab here, you might not get the right number of cards because it's, you know, there's no real break there. So slide up to your break and just lift. So if you watch my back thumb, I push it on, and then my back thumb immediately comes to this pinky break side and lifts up, and that's how I know I'll get that perfect every single time. So I just say, look, we don't need these cards here, we just need these kings, right? And just like that, I've stolen it. And then you just show the kings. So you say, you know, we don't need these 4 cards here, so I'll put the deck aside, we just need the kings. So for this, we'll use the king of clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. You know that because it's chased order, right? So you don't even have to think about it, but all you're doing there is peeling off the cards from the top one at a time, concealing a double over here. Very, very easy. And then I like to place the double under this thumb and showcase this. It looks very fair, very free. Now you're gonna say, what I'm gonna try to do is have those kings flip face up one at a time with no funny moves, and you're gonna watch it all happen. You're gonna square the cards together, and up to you, but my move, I just give it a little snap like that. You could snap it, do whatever, but that's the move I use. Maybe you give it a wave. And I do think it's important to have a move that makes the magic happen so that the rest of this routine kind of makes sense, if you choose to use this pattern at least. So I say, watch, here's the move, and then again, the rest of this is just literally stripping off the top 4 cards. It's very easy. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's the first king that's flipped, right? So I say, boom, and just like that, the first king has flipped. And again, all you do is you conceal the double in this hand and place it back on top, and you're good to go. Now this is the one kind of more complicated move. It's not even that hard that you have to do to get the next king to flip, but all you're gonna do is you're going to take the double, place it under your thumb, and then re-grip it at the sides like this, just kind of pinching it. And if you kind of apply pressure with the thumb and get it to bow a little bit, that card won't split, and you don't have to worry about it splitting like that. So from the top, you say boom, and there's the first one, and then you put it under the thumb and re-grip like this. Now you're gonna square these cards up in your hand and say, some people think I try to distract them. And now you're gonna kind of do a KM move. You're gonna place this card directly flush with this packet, grip the bottom card, so not the king of hearts, but the card that's hidden beneath it, and you're going to strip out the king of hearts and kind of clip this card against the packet. That's what's happening at speed. So you say, some people think I do the flip when I try to distract them by flicking an ace, flipping a king or something like that. And in that motion, I've flipped the king. So I'm basically turning, gripping with the fingers, and you just kind of, again, you do this with a little turn of your body. Like you do it in the motion of turning and it'll completely hide everything. Combine that with a flick of the thumb and it's completely justified and hidden. So you're in this position, you say, look, so some people think I try to distract them by like flicking a king or something like that. And I like to do that moment fast and have everything set up again so that we're ready to go to the next phase without them thinking that I'm doing something funny, right? If you take a lot of time and you're like, some people think it's me like flicking that's trying to distract them. I don't like that so much. So again, from the top, you strip off to get the first one to flip, place the double in the hand under the thumb, regrip like this, square these cards, and then you say, some people think I try to distract them. You turn this wrist face down and pinch this card, stripping out the king of hearts while pushing this card and having now flipped it. And then you immediately turn the wrist face up and place this card on top. Now, obviously, if you were doing this and there was no discrepancy, there should be a king here that you're placing this on top of, but now it'll be face down, so just make sure you place the king before you come into view, right? And that's just as simple as having the wrist killed. So you come here, you do the strip, right? So I've just stolen that card, I steal it, flick it off the thumb, and then immediately I'm just rotating the wrist back up, placing the card on top and coming into view. Now you're set up for the second phase. All you do is say watch. You do your move, strip off 4 cards, and the second king has flipped. Now the third phase, self-working. All you need to do, square up everything and say, like I said, some people think it's the flipping motion. So in this, all we're doing is we're actually reversing the packet. So there is going to be a discrepancy because that last phase, if you remember, we showed the king of spades and king of hearts as the kings that were left to be flipped. And in a second, we're going to see the king of clubs, but it absolutely flies every time. No one's paying attention. And that's why you just make sure that you never specifically name the kings that are flipping once it's happened, right? So in the first phase, I didn't go through and say, so the first king to flip is the king of hearts. I just say, and as you can see, the first king has flipped, right? But I'm not drawing attention to the suit. And that's going to cover this discrepancy. So to flip this packet secretly, and just so you're in the same, make sure you're in the same position, you should have face down, king of diamonds, king of spades, face down, and then the king of hearts, and it's their card as the first face down and the king of clubs as the second. For the third flip, you're just going to turn your wrist face down and use your thumb to push those cards through your hand, and then you grab them with the other hand and give them a little spin. And in that, you've actually reversed the packet. And your justification is, some people think when I'm just like flipping and twirling the packet, that's what is causing it, or maybe that's when I distract them, but really, it's just that move, and then the third king goes. Now again, I don't spend much time with them seeing the king of clubs just so they don't register that the king of clubs has technically already been flipped. Again, never have an issue with that because no one's paying attention and you're not calling attention to it. So then you instantly split at the 2 cards. This top one right here is the double right now, so it's very easy to just hold that. And then you say, I want to go back to the moment where all the cards were face down, and you flip the king of clubs face down in its position, square everything up, flip it face up, and say, so now all the kings are in the same direction. And as you say that, you strip off the king of diamonds just to kind of show that all the kings are actually in the same direction as you place it on top. And that's our justification. We do need to move it to the top, so that's what we do. So now we have king of diamonds, king of hearts, king of clubs, king of spades with their selection face down. And this is when we get into the second full phase of the routine, where we will make any named king now turn face down. This is a really cool phase because they get to name the king, and they've seen all the kings are clearly facing the same direction, yet whatever one they choose will come face down. So here's how we do that. First thing, you need to remember the order of this. And if you started in chased order, it should work out in a nice way that's easy to remember. So all you need to remember is that it is the red cards, then the black ones, and they are in alphabetical order within their color. So D comes before H, diamonds comes before hearts, and C comes before S. So clubs comes before spades, right? So they're suited, and you don't have to remember that red comes first because you'll see the king of diamonds on top, right? So you know it's red in alphabetical order, then black in alphabetical order. And that's going to help you remember how you do the reveal. So it's just about whether you pull the card from the bottom, or whether you pull cards from the top, or whether you pull a combination of cards from the top and bottom. So first, let's start with the obvious question. What do we do if they name the King of Diamonds? Honestly, most people don't. Because it's facing them, it kind of deters them from asking. But if they do, you just say, okay, watch this. You pull off the King of Diamonds and just do a little pinky pull down. It should be pretty easy to do because the card is facing the opposite direction. And you're gonna put it right above that bottom card. So it's now second from bottom, and you just say, watch. I'm gonna place that card, you can see it going face up, but now watch, when I do the move, now it flips, right? So you just reposition it, and then you're gonna go through a reveal that you would normally do if it was the King of Spades, right? Because originally the King of Spades is in the 4th position, so you're just gonna shift the King of Diamonds and then do that reveal, and I'll walk you through the King of Spades reveal in a second, but that's all you would do, and it would be the exact same as the King of Spades reveal. So you say, watch, I'm gonna take this king, I'll place it in, you can see it's going face up, but now I'll get it to flip, there's the move, and then you do the King of Spades reveal. So let's start with the King of Hearts next for how the reveal works. So if it's the King of Hearts, all you need to remember is where it is, right? So I know it's right under the King of Diamonds, so I obviously can't remove the King of Diamonds. If that's the case, then I must have to pull cards from the bottom, right? So that's basically the process you follow. You pull cards from the top until you know that if you pull one more, you'll reveal the named king, which we obviously can't do, and then you just finish by removing cards from the bottom, and it'll always work. So, King of Hearts, I know I can't remove the King of Diamonds, so I remove 3 from the bottom, and now it looks like the King of Hearts has been the one that's flipped. If it's the King of Clubs, I remove a card from the top because I can. Now I know I can't remove one more, or else I'll reveal the King of Clubs. So then I remove 1, remove 2 from the bottom, and it appears like the King of Clubs has flipped. King of Spades, remove 1, remove 2. I know if I remove 1 more, the King of Spades is going to be revealed, so I'm just using my fingers underneath to kind of escanio spread and pull this card out with the rest of them and just hold it like this. Whatever case you end up with, that's basically your reveal. And just for sake of completion, King of Diamonds, I would say, look, watch, I'm going to place this. You can see it's clearly going face up. There's the move. And just like that, the King of Diamonds has flipped. So it's the exact same as the King of Spades. The nice thing that's going to happen is the top card here, every scenario is always going to be your double. And that is exactly what we want. So now, once you're in this position and you say, okay, so now the only king that's face down is the King of Diamonds. You're going to remove the King of Diamonds. And one note, if the named card is the King of Hearts and you pull all the cards from the bottom, that's the one scenario where this card is going to be on the bottom, and that's fine. I personally like to just quickly readjust like that. I just like the image of it being in the middle. Then I say, watch, we'll take out that King of Hearts, and that's actually now their card. In every situation, it's going to be their card, and the actual named king is going to be hidden in a double. And like I said, that double is always going to be this top card here. That happens every time, no matter the scenario. So once you've removed the king, I like to reiterate that it's the King of Hearts a few times. So, just casually, don't make it obvious, but I just say, and as you can see, the King of Hearts is now the only one that is flipped over. So I'm going to leave that King of Hearts under your hand. Put your hand on top of it for me. If you don't have a table, they can just squeeze it, make sure they hold it tight. And now you're going to do kind of a little convincer just to prove it. So you say, look, here I got the King of Spades. So what you do is you put these 3 cards, well, it's really 4, this one's a double, into your right hand. You're going to pull off the bottom card and use these cards to flip it while you say I have the King of Spades. Then you kind of readjust, do the same thing with the King of Clubs. Say King of Clubs, and then you're going to place the King of Diamonds on top, right? So it's King of Hearts and Diamonds, but you're going to place that on top, and as you say, and the King of Diamonds, and then you're going to kill the wrist towards you, thumb off the King of Diamonds, and flip it over, leaving the named king, or in this case the King of Hearts, reversed. The reason we kill it is so that they don't see that, so it actually just looks like this. At speed, you say, okay, so we have the King of Spades, King of Clubs, and the King of Diamonds. And now you should have reversed whatever their named king is. And now you just say, we don't need those anymore, so let me throw them back. If you're having someone hold on to the deck, this is also great because this is such a forgotten moment. You are technically interfering with the deck or touching the deck, but this is such a throwaway moment, right? We're just getting rid of cards. And so in their mind, there's no way, especially if you have someone hold on to that deck at the beginning, which sometimes I'll do, right? I often do this because they think the original selected card is face up in that deck, so them holding on to it is a way of keeping that safe, making sure you don't tamper with it. When you have those kings, you just say, here, let me just throw those back in, we don't need it, and you just chuck them in and that's it. And of course, there's no way you could have, tampered with their card, flipped anything over, removed anything. Yet the work is already done. Their card's already here, and the named king is now face up in the deck because we're adding it back secretly in that process. So I definitely love to have a spectator hold on to that deck while we do this process, because then it feels like there's no way I could have tampered with it, and this one moment is completely forgotten because of how quickly it happens, right? And how much of a throwaway moment it is. Now for this reveal, there's a lot of different ways. I've played with different ways. I'm sure there may even be a better way to do this reveal than the way that I do it, but right now I like having them place their hand on top and telling them I'm going to make that king disappear as the final reveal. In their head, it makes them think that the card's going to be vanished, right? And especially if they're like this, they can feel that card. So when you tell them it's gone, they'll just be like, no, it's not. Now there's the question of, do you reveal this first or this first? For me, I think you reveal this first, and then you reveal their card as the finale. But again, your choice here, but this is how I handle it. So I have them place their hand on it. I say as a final moment, I'm gonna make your king disappear. The King of Hearts, again, I reiterate one more time, and I say, just like that, it's gone. They lift their hand, they say, no, it's still there. And then you say, well, do you remember at the beginning of this, we left your card face up in the deck, right? If this card truly disappeared, if this King of Hearts truly disappeared, well, it would have to go somewhere else. And then I spread face down and I say, look, the one card that is now face down in the deck is the King of Hearts. And then you let that settle, right? And they already kind of know what's happening at this point. And you say, now if this is the King of Hearts, that must mean that the card in your hand is actually your card. And you reveal and you have an amazing effect. What I love so much about this effect, in their mind, their card is so isolated in the deck over here that one, there's no way it could have ended up in their hand because there's never any interaction with the deck by the time it's under their hand. And then the same goes for that king entering the pack. Now let me go over this super quick, the quick version, the quick summary of everything. So you start, have a card selected, not a king. If a king is selected, I would just say, pick a different one because we need the kings for this. So 9 of spades, you flip the cards face up and have them return it face down somewhere in the middle of the packet. Now you tell them we need the kings for this trick, so you're going to go through, up jog the kings. When you get to their card, and in this case this is extremely rare, but the 4 kings happen to show up before their card, which is fine. I'll just up jog the 4th one and I'll say, look, and I just want to remind you, your card is the only face down one in the deck. And then I say, and I'm going to leave it right there. Now I'm going to cull it as I continue to spread a little bit and close it, moving it to the bottom of the deck. Strip out the kings, let them inspect it. As they do that, I'm going to shuffle, reverse their card, and then do one more shuffle to bring it to the top. Once they are satisfied, I will just quickly take back the kings and quickly adjust them to put them in chased order, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, and I will get a break underneath their card. I'll square up everything on top and lift up at the break, stealing their card away while I say we don't need the deck anymore, we're just going to use these 4 kings. And I will, if there's another spectator, I'll say I want you to hold on to this deck and just keep it safe, make sure I can't go anywhere near and tamper with their card that's flipped face up right now. Next step, you say, look, we're just going to use the 4 kings for this, king of clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. So I'm going to make them all flip over one at a time. So for the first one, all it takes, this little move, and we get the first one to flip. Take the king of hearts, place it in this hand, readjust my grip, square up these cards, turn this hand face down as I strip out the bottom card and flick the king of hearts, turn the wrist face up and place the king of hearts back on top, all while saying something to the effect of, some people think it's when I try to distract them by flicking the card that I make the cards flip, but it's not. All it takes is a little move, strip off 4 cards, and now you'll have 2 turned over. Again, never am I naming which kings are turning over because of the discrepancy that comes up in the next phase. I square everything, turn the wrist face down, push these cards through, give it a rotation, and say, some people think it's when I do these crazy spins that's when it happens. But again, it's just this move and we get the next king to go. Now, I want to go back to the moment where all the kings were facing the same way. So I flip the king of clubs in its position, flip everything over and casually pull the king of diamonds to the top, as I say, and you can see all the kings are facing the same direction. I like to set the kings down, tell them for the next part, I'll make whatever king they name flip. Whatever one they name, I will then reveal it in the order I need, knowing that it's red cards, black cards, and then alphabetically between those. So the red cards are in alphabetical order, and the black ones are as well. And again, if they name spades, I'm gonna peel cards until I know I can't peel this next one because it's gonna reveal, and then I'm gonna use the bottom fingers here to pull that last bottom card out, making it appear that the king of spades is flipped when in reality it is their selection. I will then take their selection, have them place their hand on it, and to finally reiterate, I will say, look, we have the king of diamonds here, king of hearts. I'm gonna place the king of clubs face up, kill the wrist, and turn it face down, which leaves now the named king flipped over. And I say, hold on, we don't need these anymore. Can you just lift your hand for a second? I'm gonna place those there. And you go into the final phase. You say, would it be amazing if I made this king disappear? Snap, and then they'll be confused because the king's still there. And you say, well, remember we had your card face down the middle of the deck at the beginning. You see, if this king disappeared, then it truly should be in a completely different location. You spread to reveal, oops, that's not it. Spread to reveal the one face-up card being the named king, and at this point they understand that under their hand will be their selection. Alright guys, I hope you absolutely loved Hurri-kings. It is an amazing effect, one that I absolutely love to do. Might seem a little complicated, I'm not really sure how this explanation came across, but it is well worth it and is really not that difficult if you can get down. I would say the most tricky part, honestly, is just the sort of KM move with the flick when you're using a few cards to do that first flip. But it totally flies, and because you do it early on and the next phases are very clean in terms of the flipping, it doesn't really raise any suspicion. I just think the transpo and the way everything works, especially if you have one spectator hold the deck and one hold the card, it is absolutely amazing. So I hope you guys enjoy this effect as much as I do. As always, if you would like to check out some private lessons, if you want some more help with this effect or any other effect that you've seen me perform that you want to learn, some of my best close guarded secrets we can go over in those lessons. We can go over some moves, maybe the cull, the bottom deal. These are a lot of the things I get requested lessons for. So if you'd like to check that out, you can at the link below. And with all that said, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.